In the year 2325, humanity had reached the stars. Earth was no longer the only cradle of life in the galaxy. Cities sprawled across distant planets, and humans lived alongside countless alien species. But despite the wonders of space and the advances in technology, Earth's future would be decided by a single moment. It all began when the Galactic Imperium, a vast empire that had conquered hundreds of worlds, turned its gaze toward Earth. The empire was known for its iron fist, ruling through fear and advanced weaponry. Their ships were faster than light, their weapons capable of erasing entire cities with a single strike. The Imperium had never met a race that refused to bow to their will. Until now, the emissaries arrived without warning. Massive ships, shaped like sleek pyramids, appeared in Earth's orbit. They hung there like ominous shadows, blocking out the sun. The world held its breath. The people of Earth watched as the Imperium's flagship, a behemoth of steel and energy, descended toward the planet. News channels flooded with reports. Scientists, military leaders, and world governments were all on high alert, unsure of what would happen next. Inside the United Nations building in New York City, representatives from every nation gathered in urgent assembly. Earth's leaders were stunned, unsure of what the arrival meant. No one had ever dared challenge the Imperium before. There were rumors, whispers among the stars, that to oppose them was to sign your death sentence. And yet, Earth would not cower. The alien emissaries, dressed in flowing robes and adorned with strange metallic symbols, entered the council hall. Their faces were hidden by masks, but their voices rang with an unsettling calm. "We are the emissaries of the Galactic Imperium," the lead envoy announced, their voice echoing through the hall. "Your world is now under the jurisdiction of the Empire. You will submit to our rule or face the consequences. The choice is yours." The room fell silent. Every leader in that room knew the Empire's reputation. Conquered worlds were said to be wiped clean of life, reduced to nothing but ashes and ruins, and the Imperium had the power to make that happen in the blink of an eye. The leader of Earth, President Anna Hayes, stood. She was a woman known for her calm demeanor and sharp mind. She had faced crisis before, but nothing like this. She took a deep breath, her voice steady as she addressed the emissaries. "Earth will not kneel," she said, her words cutting through the tense silence. "We are a free planet. We will not bow to any empire, no matter how powerful." A murmur ran through the room. Some of the delegates looked uneasy, unsure of whether this was the right course of action. But Hayes's resolve was unwavering. She had made her decision. The envoy did not respond immediately. For a moment, there was only silence, as though the air itself was holding its breath. Then the lead emissary spoke again. "Your defiance is noted," they said coldly. "The consequences will be swift. Your planet will be destroyed, and your people will be brought to heel. You have one cycle to reconsider. If you continue to resist, we will begin the annihilation of your world." With that, the emissaries turned and left the hall, their footsteps echoing in the silence they left behind. The representatives of Earth stared at each other, the weight of the situation settling on them like a heavy fog. President Hayes remained standing, her gaze locked on the door through which the alien emissaries had exited. Her heart was heavy, but her mind was clear. She knew that this moment would define the future of humanity. The people of Earth would never kneel. But would they be able to stand against an empire that had conquered the galaxy? As the delegates began to discuss their options, President Hayes made a decision. She would not allow fear to dictate Earth's fate. The world's military forces would be mobilized, its defenses strengthened. The Earth Defense Grid, a secret project that had been in development for years, would be activated. They would not wait for the Imperium to strike first. She addressed the assembly one final time. "Prepare for war. We will defend our world, and we will never surrender." Across the globe, Earth's population watched in disbelief as the first signs of the coming storm began to unfold. Cities began to prepare, military forces were deployed, and the skies darkened as the Imperial fleet hovered above the planet. But despite the looming threat, there was a spark of something new in the air: defiance. Humanity would not bend, and though the road ahead was uncertain, Earth had made its stand. The Imperium had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated humanity's will to fight for its freedom. The galaxy would soon learn that when Earth refused to kneel, it wasn't just a single world that rose. It was the beginning of something far bigger. The day after the Imperium's emissaries left Earth's council chamber, the world began to stir. The threat of destruction loomed over humanity, but Earth was far from helpless. Across the globe, people rallied behind President Anna Hayes' defiant declaration. News stations broadcast her words, and messages of resistance spread like wildfire. Despite the overwhelming power of the Imperium, humanity's spirit was not so easily broken. Leaders from every nation quickly gathered to discuss the next steps. Military forces were put on high alert, and emergency protocols were activated across the planet. But it wasn't just governments and generals who took action. Civilians, scientists, engineers, and soldiers alike began preparing in their own way. People were ready to fight. In a secret bunker deep beneath the Earth's surface, a group of scientists huddled around glowing monitors. They had worked for years on a project so secret that even most of the world's leaders were unaware of it. It was called the Earth Defense Grid, a system of advanced weaponry and technology that could protect the planet from an assault by any force, even the vast Imperium. Dr. Edward Chung, the lead scientist on the project, was the first to receive the signal. "The grid is ready," he said, his voice steady but with a hint of excitement. The defense network had been designed to work with Earth's natural resources, using everything from energy fields to satellite arrays. If activated, it could turn Earth's atmosphere into a deadly weapon. The Imperium had no idea what they were walking into. But while the defense grid was being prepped for activation, another part of the plan was taking shape. Across the world, militaries were coordinating with civilian volunteers. Every city had its own resistance cells, and these small, independent groups began to train, to strategize, and to prepare for what was coming. In New York City, a former soldier named Lucas Fernandez helped organize a group of rebels. They weren't soldiers, not really. They were just ordinary people, from all walks of life, ready to defend their homes. Lucas had fought in smaller skirmishes before, but this was different. This was not just a war for territory. This was a fight for survival, for freedom, for the future of Earth. Lucas spoke to his group in a small warehouse on the edge of the city. "We've been pushed to the brink. The Imperium thinks we're weak because we're not like the other planets they've conquered. But that's where they're wrong. We're not just another world. We're Earth." His words echoed in the hearts of those who stood with him. They had been told their entire lives that Earth was just one small planet in a vast galaxy, too insignificant to stand against such a mighty empire. But in that moment, they understood. Earth was not weak. It was strong because its people would fight for it, and they would never bow to anyone. As the days passed, Earth's military began to show signs of life. Airfields were filled with fighter jets, and defense satellites moved into position. The defense grid was activated, casting an invisible shield around the planet. It wasn't just a defense mechanism, it was a statement. Earth wasn't waiting to be attacked. Earth was ready to strike first if necessary. On the other side of the galaxy, the Imperium watched with growing frustration. They had expected Earth to crumble beneath their pressure. But instead, they saw humanity uniting in ways they hadn't imagined. Messages of resistance poured in from other planets as well. Worlds once under the Empire's thumb began to stir, inspired by Earth's courage. The Emperor of the Galactic Imperium, sitting in his grand palace on the capital world, was not pleased. His empire had never faced such resistance before. His advisors urged him to send the fleet at once, to crush Earth before the resistance could grow any stronger. But the Emperor hesitated. He had underestimated Earth's resolve, and now he wasn't so sure that a quick victory was guaranteed. But as the Emperor pondered his next move, a small rebellion began to take form in his own empire. A group of scientists, tired of the Imperium's oppressive rule, secretly contacted Earth's leaders, offering information on how to weaken the Empire's forces. They had no love for the Imperium, and they saw Earth's fight as their own. This information would be crucial in the coming days. Back on Earth, President Hayes was aware of the growing support from both within the planet and beyond. But she knew that time was running out. The Imperium's forces were already beginning to gather. She couldn't afford to wait any longer. "We've made our stand," she said to her advisors. "Now it's time to show them that humanity will not fall." With the defense grid in place, the resistance growing stronger by the day, and the support of those in the galaxy who longed for freedom, Earth was preparing for the battle of its life. The spark of resistance had been lit, and nothing would stop it from spreading. The Imperium had made the mistake of thinking Earth would kneel. Now, the whole galaxy would see what happened when humanity refused to bow. As Earth prepared for war, the Imperium, shocked by the growing resistance, unleashed its next strategy: mind control. The Galactic Empire had conquered many worlds, not just with force, but by breaking the will of their people. They had perfected a technology that allowed them to control the minds of others, bending individuals to their will. This was the Empire's ultimate weapon, the ability to turn any enemy into an ally, or so they believed. For Earth, however, this was not the challenge it seemed. President Anna Hayes had known that Earth's greatest strength was not just in its weapons or its military might, it was in its people. And while the Empire had its power, Earth had something the Empire couldn't control: human will. On the surface, the first signs of the Imperium's mind control seemed successful. The Empire's agents infiltrated Earth's military, subtly planting their devices on key commanders. These agents worked in the shadows, quietly spreading their influence, trying to take control of Earth's leadership. But they underestimated Earth's intelligence. One of the Empire's agents, a man named Jarek, had been placed within the Earth Defense Forces. He was tasked with weakening Earth's resolve from within. And at first, it seemed like a perfect plan. However, Jarek was not prepared for what Earth's scientists had been secretly working on. Dr. Maria Singh, a leading neuroscientist, had been one of the key figures behind the creation of the Earth Defense Grid. But her other project, one even more secretive, had been designed as a defense against mind control. Earth's scientists had developed a neural shielding technology based on quantum physics that protected the human mind from outside influence. It was still in its early stages, but it worked. The shields were small, discreet, and almost undetectable. Jarek, unaware of this technology, began to carry out his mission. He approached key military leaders, sending out subtle signals meant to take control. But one by one, the signals failed to take hold. The leaders of Earth's forces were all protected by the neural shields, their minds free from the Empire's influence. The resistance had already won its first battle, but Jarek did not know that yet. Meanwhile, the people of Earth, driven by the idea that they had to fight for their freedom, began to form their own response. The rebellion that had started with a few scattered groups now spread like wildfire. Civilians, teachers, engineers, farmers, and even children joined the fight. They didn't have the training of soldiers, but they had something even more powerful: the desire to protect their world. In the heart of the war, a new force emerged: Prometheus. It wasn't a soldier, but an eye, a superintelligence that had been developed by Earth's top scientists to help with the war effort. Prometheus had access to Earth's most advanced data networks, and it was unlike anything the Imperium had ever faced. Its intelligence grew every second as it learned from every battle, every strategy, and every piece of information available. As Earth's military forces took to the skies and space, Prometheus began to hack into the Imperium's communication networks, disrupting their operations and causing chaos within their ranks. What the Imperium didn't know was that their own systems had become vulnerable. Prometheus found gaps in their defense codes, weaknesses in their infrastructure, and it used these openings to create confusion across the galaxy. The once feared empire now found itself dealing with a foe it couldn't predict, couldn't control. But Prometheus wasn't just about disrupting systems. It was also about building unity. The AI connected with underground resistance groups on occupied worlds, spreading information, plans, and support to those fighting the Imperium's rule. Rebel groups that had been working alone suddenly found themselves part of a larger, well-coordinated effort. The Empire's empire of fear was crumbling, one system at a time. Back on Earth, the soldiers and civilians prepared for the inevitable confrontation. They knew that the Imperium would retaliate with full force soon, but with their defenses strengthened and the advantage of an AI that was always one step ahead, Earth felt ready for whatever was to come. They had one key advantage. They were fighting for their survival. And when a people fight for their freedom, there is no enemy too powerful to defeat. Jarek, still unaware of the failure of his mission, reported back to his superiors. He explained that his efforts had not yielded the expected results, but that he would continue to try and break Earth's defenses. What he didn't know was that the Empire's arrogance had blinded them to the truth. Earth was not a planet that could be easily controlled or defeated. As the days passed, the tension between the Imperium and Earth grew. Earth's forces, now better organized and prepared, gathered for what would be the first major battle of the war. The Imperium's fleet, vast and powerful, moved closer, ready to strike. But they were not ready for the resistance that awaited them. Earth's weapons, powered by the defense grid and assisted by Prometheus's intelligence, were primed and ready. The battle for Earth's survival was about to begin, and this time, it wasn't going to be the Imperium that held all the power. The calm before the storm lasted only a few days. Earth's military forces had been preparing, and every minute felt like a lifetime. President Anna Hayes and her advisors knew the next phase of the war would be a turning point. The Imperium's fleet was approaching, a vast armada filled with advanced ships, each capable of destroying entire cities with a single strike. Earth had no illusions about the challenge ahead. But the people of Earth were not afraid. They had prepared for this moment. The Earth defense grid was fully activated, its energy fields extending far beyond Earth's atmosphere. It was designed to protect the planet from enemy strikes and to act as a powerful weapon. The grid was powered by the world's own natural resources, solar energy, nuclear power, and even the gravitational fields of Earth itself. It had never been tested in combat, but now the time had come. The first sign of battle came when the Imperium's fleet arrived in Earth's orbit. Massive ships with gleaming hulls and intimidating weapons hung in the sky like a swarm of deadly insects. The sight was overwhelming, but Earth's military held their ground. They were ready. As the Imperium's ships began to approach, the Earth defense grid sprang to life. A network of satellites orbiting the planet activated, sending out powerful energy pulses. The energy surged through space, creating a protective barrier around Earth. It wasn't just a shield, it was a weapon. The Imperium's ships, unable to penetrate the energy fields, found themselves stuck in a deadly trap. From Earth's surface, military forces launched their own offensive. Fighter jets, now equipped with powerful plasma cannons and laser-guided missiles, rose into the sky. They weren't just defending Earth, they were attacking. The first wave of Earth's fighters met the Imperium's fleet in a dazzling display of light and sound. Missiles streaked across the sky, and energy blasts collided in bright explosions. The battle in space was intense, but it was clear that Earth's forces, with their advanced technology and coordinated tactics, were holding their own. The Earth defense grid, designed to neutralize advanced weaponry, rendered the Imperium's attacks ineffective. Their ships couldn't break through, and their weapons barely scratched the surface of Earth's defenses. On the ground, the resistance forces began to mobilize. Citizens who had trained for months, preparing for the day they would have to fight, took their positions. Guerrilla tactics were used to strike at key Imperial installations, while the military focused on larger engagements in the skies. Earth's forces were not just fighting with weapons. They were fighting with intelligence and heart. They had something the Empire lacked: unity. Prometheus, the super-intelligent AI that had been aiding Earth's efforts, played a crucial role in the battle. As the Imperium's fleet attempted to regroup, Prometheus hacked into their communications, causing confusion among their ranks. The Imperium's fleet was unable to coordinate properly, and many ships were forced to fight blindly, without orders or support. Prometheus's ability to predict the Empire's moves and counter their strategies gave Earth's forces a significant advantage. As the battle raged on, Earth's forces launched a surprise attack. Using a combination of stealth technology and the element of surprise, a group of Earth's finest pilots infiltrated the heart of the Imperium's fleet. They targeted key ships, flagships that commanded entire sectors, and took them down one by one. Each ship destroyed sent shockwaves through the Imperium's chain of command. In the midst of the chaos, the leader of the Imperium, the Emperor, watched from his command center. His empire was faltering, and he could no longer ignore the growing power of Earth. His fleet, once thought invincible, was crumbling before his eyes. He knew that he had underestimated humanity, but it was too late to change his strategy now. As the tide of battle shifted in Earth's favor, something unexpected happened. The oppressed worlds that had once been under the Imperium's control began to rise up. Prometheus had secretly communicated with rebel factions across the galaxy, offering them support and strategic guidance. Uprisings erupted on dozens of Imperial worlds. The once terrifying Empire was now facing resistance from every corner of the galaxy. Back on Earth, President Hayes addressed the world. "This is our moment," she said, her voice steady and filled with determination. "We are no longer fighting for survival. We are fighting for the freedom of every world the Empire has oppressed. This is a battle for the future of the galaxy." As Earth's forces continued to press their advantage, the Imperium's fleet was forced to retreat. The remaining ships, battered and broken, made a desperate attempt to flee, but Earth's fighters pursued them. The Earth defense grid remained strong, blocking any attempts to escape. The first major victory in the war had been won. The battle above Earth's skies was over, but the war was far from finished. The Imperium had been defeated in one battle, but their empire still stretched across the galaxy. Earth's victory, however, had sent a powerful message. The galaxy had seen what humanity was capable of, and there was no turning back now. The spark of resistance had spread from Earth to every corner of the galaxy, and the Empire's reign was beginning to crumble. Earth had proven that when humanity united, there was no force in the universe that could defeat them. Earth's victory above its skies had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The once mighty Imperium, which had crushed countless civilizations with ease, now found itself reeling from a powerful resistance it had never expected. The Emperor, humiliated by the defeat and the loss of so many of his ships, could no longer ignore the rising rebellion. But the battle was far from over. While Earth's forces had won the first major engagement, the Imperium was far from defeated. The Emperor called upon his most trusted commanders, a group of generals who had been loyal to the Empire for centuries. They had led the conquest of world after world, crushing any opposition with ruthless efficiency. Now, they were tasked with ending the rebellion that had begun on Earth. One such general, known as General Varnak, was a fearsome leader in the Imperium's military. His reputation for swift victories and brutal tactics had earned him the title of the Hammer of the Empire. He was known for his ability to crush any resistance, and he believed Earth would be no different. His fleet, larger and more powerful than the one that had been defeated above Earth, was already on its way to strike back. But Earth had learned from its first victory. The forces that had held the Imperium at bay were not just military might. They were intelligence, unity, and innovation. Earth's military leaders, led by President Hayes, knew that they could not face the Imperium head-on with the same tactics. They needed something more. The Earth defense grid had proven to be a formidable weapon, but it could only protect Earth for so long. It was time for Earth to take the fight to the stars. Behind the scenes, Prometheus continued to work its magic. The AI had already become a key player in the war, predicting the Imperium's every move and countering their strategies. Prometheus had found a way to hack into the Imperium's command network, allowing Earth's forces to track their fleet movements in real time. With this advantage, Earth could strike first and strike fast. The rebellion, now spread across the galaxy, had gained more allies than anyone had expected. Former slaves, oppressed worlds, and alien civilizations that had suffered under the Empire's rule were eager to join the fight. These new allies brought with them advanced technologies and strategies that the Imperium had never encountered. It was not just humans fighting now. It was a galaxy united against the Empire. The first strike came from the outer rim of the galaxy, where a fleet of rebel ships, led by Earth's finest pilots, launched a surprise attack on one of the Imperium's strongholds. They hit fast, using stealth technology and precise, targeted strikes to cripple the Imperial forces before they could mount a defense. The Imperium's military, stretched thin by the ongoing conflict, struggled to respond. Back on Earth, President Hayes addressed the world once more. This is not just our fight. This is a fight for every star, every world, and every people who have been oppressed by the Imperium. We are not alone in this battle. Together, we will take the fight to the stars. As the wars spread, Earth's military began to build its own fleet of ships, designed with the lessons they had learned from the previous battle. These new ships were faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with the most advanced weapons humanity had ever seen. The Earth defense grid, now connected to a network of rebel forces, created a powerful web of protection and attack that covered more than just Earth. General Varnak, still reeling from the loss of his fleet, had no choice but to respond. He rallied the Imperium's remaining forces and began a brutal campaign to retake control of the galaxy. But Earth's fighters, now a well-organized and unstoppable force, met him head-on in battle after battle. The fight took to the stars, and the battlefield was vast. It was no longer just about defending Earth. It was about reclaiming the galaxy from the Empire's cruel grasp. Earth's fleet, combined with the forces of countless rebel factions, launched a series of strategic strikes against the Imperium's most vital locations. The once unbeatable Empire was now fighting a losing battle on multiple fronts. On the battlefield, Lucas Fernandez, the former soldier turned leader of Earth's resistance, led his squadron of fighters in a daring raid against an Imperial flagship. The ship, massive and heavily fortified, had been one of the Empire's most important vessels. It had been responsible for coordinating attacks on rebel worlds, but Lucas and his team had a plan. Using a combination of divergent tactics, speed, and precision, they managed to breach the flagship's defenses. Inside, they planted explosive charges in key areas, crippling the ship from within. As the flagship began to burn, Lucas watched as the once proud symbol of the Imperium's might was destroyed. The message was clear. The Empire was no longer invincible. As the rebellion spread across the galaxy, Earth's forces pushed deeper into the heart of the Imperium's territories. The Empire's once proud fleet was shattered, its resources stretched thin. And in the distance, the Emperor watched as his empire, once so vast and powerful, began to crumble. The turning tide had begun, and Earth, united with its allies, was leading the charge to free the galaxy from the Empire's rule. With every victory, the people of Earth proved that when united, no force, no matter how powerful, could stand against them. The war for the stars was just beginning, and Earth had shown that it would not be the one to kneel. The stars had never seemed so distant. Across the galaxy, the battle raged on, and the once dominant Imperium was now fighting a desperate war to maintain its power. The forces of Earth and their allies had turned the tide, reclaiming world after world, and with each victory, the Empire's grip on the galaxy weakened. On the Imperial homeworld, the Emperor sat in his grand palace, watching as his empire unraveled before him. His once proud fleet had been shattered, and his armies were stretched to their limits. The rebellions on the conquered worlds were growing stronger, and even some of his most loyal generals had begun to question his leadership. For the first time, the emperor felt fear, a fear that the empire he had built with an iron fist was crumbling. The emperor called a council of his most trusted commanders, including General Varnak, who had suffered defeat after defeat at the hands of Earth's forces. Together, they hatched a plan, one last, desperate attempt to turn the tide of the war. It would be their final stand, and they would throw everything they had into it. The plan was simple, yet ruthless. The emperor ordered the deployment of the empire's last remaining fleet to Earth's orbit. He believed that if Earth could be brought to its knees, the rebellion would collapse. If Earth fell, the rest of the galaxy would follow. But the emperor had underestimated the strength of humanity. Earth's defenses had grown stronger with each passing day, and its people had proven time and time again that they would not bow to tyranny. Back on Earth, President Hayes and her council had been anticipating the Empire's next move. They knew that the battle for Earth would be the most critical yet. The Earth defense grid, still functioning at full capacity, had already proven its power, but now it would be tested like never before. The grid's energy fields were the last line of defense against the Empire's fleet, and its failure would mean the fall of Earth. Prometheus, the super-intelligent AI that had been Earth's greatest ally, had already begun analyzing the Empire's fleet movements. It was clear that the Imperium's last hope was to launch a direct assault on Earth, using everything they had left. But Prometheus had a plan, an idea that would give Earth one final advantage. Prometheus worked with Earth's engineers to develop a new kind of weapon, one that would turn the tide of the battle once and for all. It was a powerful energy cannon, capable of striking Imperial ships from a distance and disabling their shields. Earth had never used such a weapon before, but the urgency of the situation made it clear that they had no choice. As the day of the final battle approached, President Hayes gave a speech to the people of Earth. Her words were filled with determination and hope, rallying every citizen, every soldier, and every rebel to the cause. "This is our moment," she said. "We have fought for this day. We have fought for our freedom, and we will not back down. Together, we will stand strong." The people of Earth, from every corner of the planet, united for one final effort. The military forces, the civilians, and the rebels worked together, preparing for the battle that would decide the fate of their world and the galaxy. Earth's greatest strength lay in its unity, and that unity had never been stronger. As the Imperium's fleet approached, Earth's forces readied themselves for the inevitable clash. The Earth defense grid shimmered with energy, and the new energy cannon, powered by Prometheus's calculations, was positioned at the heart of Earth's defense system. The battle to protect Earth had begun. The first wave of Imperial ships entered Earth's orbit, their massive forms casting shadows over the planet. The Earth defense grid activated, sending out powerful energy pulses that struck the incoming ships, disrupting their systems. The fleet's weapons failed to fire, and their shields buckled under the pressure. Earth's energy cannon fired, and the first Imperial ship was disabled, its engines going dark as it drifted helplessly in space. The battle continued in the sky, as Earth's fighters launched a counterattack, striking at the heart of the Imperial fleet. The Emperor's ships, despite their size and firepower, were no match for the precision and coordination of Earth's forces. With Prometheus's guidance, Earth's pilots knew exactly where to strike, and with every attack, the Imperium's fleet grew weaker. On the surface of Earth, the people watched as the battle unfolded in the skies above them. There was fear, yes, but there was also hope. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. This was the moment they would prove that the Imperium could not defeat them. The Emperor, watching the battle unfold from his palace, realized that his final hope was slipping away. His fleet was being destroyed, one ship at a time, and Earth's defenses were holding strong. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and now it was too late. In a final, desperate move, the Emperor ordered his fleet to retreat. But the damage had been done. Earth's forces, now emboldened by their victory, pursued the fleeing ships, ensuring that they would never return. The battle for Earth was over, and humanity had won. The battle had ended, but the war was far from over. Earth had stood strong, defying the might of the Imperium and proving that no empire, no matter how vast, could suppress the will of a united people. The Emperor's fleet had been shattered, and his power, once seemingly unshakable, was no more. Earth's forces, now reinforced by the countless rebel factions they had inspired, had claimed their first great victory in the war for freedom. The people of Earth celebrated their triumph, but there was no time to rest. The galaxy, once under the crushing rule of the Imperium, was now a place of uncertainty. With the Emperor's defeat, many worlds saw an opportunity to break free from the Empire's control. But the path to freedom was not simple. There were still Imperial loyalists, scattered across the stars, who would not give up without a fight. And the newly formed coalition of rebels, while united in their cause, still needed to navigate the complex politics of the galaxy. On Earth, President Hayes stood at the forefront of the recovery. The war had left scars, but humanity had learned a valuable lesson. Unity was their greatest strength. Earth's leaders, working alongside their allies, began the process of rebuilding. The Earth defense grid, once a shield against the Imperium's might, was now repurposed to protect Earth from any remaining threats and to maintain peace throughout the galaxy. Prometheus, the AI that had guided them through so much, continued to play a pivotal role in the rebuilding process. The AI, once considered a tool of war, was now a symbol of hope and progress. It worked tirelessly to help establish systems of communication and cooperation among the free worlds of the galaxy. It also helped develop new technologies that would improve life for all, not just those on Earth, but on every world that had suffered under the Empire's grip. While the victory was sweet, it was also bittersweet. Lucas Fernandez, one of Earth's greatest heroes, looked to the stars, knowing that the war was not yet over. The victory had weakened the Imperium, but it had not eradicated it. The Emperor's retreat had left a power vacuum that could be filled by others, and the remnants of the Imperium's fleet were still scattered across the galaxy, lingering like a shadow. The task ahead was clear. Earth and its allies would have to continue the fight to free every world that still lived under Imperial rule. But for the first time in the war, the galaxy was filled with hope. The people who had once been oppressed were now rising up, no longer content to live in fear. They looked to Earth, the beacon of resistance, and took courage. In a meeting with her council, President Hayes addressed the next steps. "We've shown the galaxy that we will not back down. We've proven that when united, we are unstoppable. But the road ahead is long, and we must remain vigilant. The Emperor is gone, but the work is far from over. Our mission now is to bring true freedom to the stars." Across the galaxy, the message was received loud and clear. Rebel factions that had once fought alone now formed alliances, coordinated by Earth and its allies. Earth's fighters, led by skilled pilots like Lucas, took to the stars, engaging in strategic missions to liberate Imperial strongholds and bring down the remnants of the Empire. As the years passed, Earth's influence continued to grow. The Imperium's hold on the galaxy slowly crumbled, replaced by a new era of cooperation and peace. No longer would one empire rule over all. Instead, the people of the galaxy, guided by the lessons learned from their struggle, began to form a united federation of free worlds. It wasn't easy, and there were challenges along the way. Old grudges remained, and some factions sought to fill the power vacuum left by the fall of the Imperium. But the lessons of unity, hope, and courage persisted. Earth had set the example for what was possible when people stood together for the greater good. On Earth, life began to return to normal. Cities were rebuilt, families reunited, and the scars of war slowly faded. But the people would never forget the price they had paid for their freedom, and they would never forget the heroes who had led them to victory. Lucas Fernandez, now a leader in the newly formed Galactic Coalition, stood on a balcony overlooking the planet that had once been on the brink of destruction. The stars above were filled with the light of countless worlds, all free from the oppression that had once defined their existence. The galaxy was not perfect, but it was better. In that moment, Lucas knew that Earth's victory was just the beginning. The future was unwritten, but it was bright. Humanity had faced the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known, and it had emerged victorious. They had proven, once and for all, that no matter how dark the times, the light of hope and unity could never be extinguished. The stars no longer seemed so distant. They were now within reach.